Right, okay.
My name is Warren Dempsey. If you're asking me how suicide affected me, it absolutely destroyed our family. First of all, her name is Andrea Dempsey. She was a dancer, she was a loving, bubbly girl. It was the night of my 30th birthday party. We were dancing, we had the time, and she actually just looked the best she ever looked. She was loving life, she was happy, and she looked like she had no concerns or no worries. And we didn't know she had concerns or worries, but she actually did have concerns or worries. She had a very, very troubled background. Andrea, unfortunately, was sexually abused at a younger age. The night went on. We all decided, no, enough's enough, time going home. Roy, my brother, would always go with Andrea, make sure she's alright. So Roy and Andrea go back to our partner Gavin's house. As it happened, Roy and Andrea had an argument because Roy felt Andrea was too drunk. Roy decides, enough's enough, listen, he couldn't deal with Andrea being so drunk anymore. He said, listen, I'm going for a pack of smokes. Went to the local garage, which is no more than 5 minutes away. Walked through the parkway, and Andrea followed after him and said, listen, probably effing and blind at that point because they were probably in arguments, brothers and sisters fight all the time. Andrea walked over to my house. She went in, she said to me, Mum, he's out to fight with me, blah, 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 blah. A couple of arguments happened. My mum said, listen, you're just drunk, go to bed, call it off. Just forget about it, after having a great night, don't ruin the moment, don't ruin the weekend. Unfortunately, as it happened, then, in the sake of 10 minutes, Andrea had wrote out a letter to my dad. Andrea went to get the washing line. Andrea put it into her bag. She walked out of the house. She looked back up at the window and see my mum standing in the window. My mum looked at her, and it was like a look of stubbornness. My mum feels it was. I'll show you, no one's listening to me, kind of thing. Like, as this was happening, Roy was walking back through the park with his smokes, and he seen the figure of a blonde girl. Roy ran to her, couldn't believe it. He said he was in complete shock. My brother's a small guy. He also knew that he couldn't take her down, so he had to make the hardest decision ever, is that she's leaving her to come get me. Between the two of us then, we took her down, and she was cold. We feel she slipped. We don't know if it was a moment of madness. I'd like to think it was a moment of madness because I'd like to think she didn't want to leave us as much. I'm doing compressions on her. The ambulance is on the way. I have family members behind me screaming. All I can ever remember was just looking at her. My brother beside me, her two closest people, were with her at the end. I felt it was like our last breath had gone from my body, because as I was doing compressions and CPR, I felt that last breath leaving. The realisation and the reality of it is that it happened. It is happening. There's been a knock-on effect where two good friends close to her. There's been 8 girls in our particular area in a 10-week period. She lived a happy, loving life. She was a carer. She was an educated girl, and she had a partner. She had all the attributes to succeed in life. She was that stereotypical person that's going to do well. There is people out there, probably at the end of this interview, thinking, well, listen, I don't have those things going for me. I said, you're absolutely no different to anybody else. And I said, you have a heartbeat, you have a life, you have a family that loves you. If it's a case where it's not evident, look to a person that you feel that you're most confident in. Look outside your normal circle, find that person and confide in them. Just speak up. And he says, we don't know, I didn't know. If I had known my sister had an issue, I would have done absolutely everything in my power to step back out of the situation that I was in to try and help her. But the one thing I will say to someone listening to this now is that if I had one question to ask, the question is, I would ask is, are you okay? And it's a very, very simple question, are you okay? And it's okay not to be okay. It shouldn't be happening. We can stop it.